this is my great pleasure to announce this talk today. The talk will be given by Professor Lalit Mahan Kukreja from NGO Epi-knowledge Foundation. Professor Kukreja is actually very well-known Indian scientist. He was the person who designed first Indian carbon dioxide laser, which was also one of the first in the world. And he's visiting us for the third time. Usually he gives a talk, scientific talk, but this time it will be more educative talk. So, please.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah. So I just put it in. Okay, thank you for organizing this lecture. Today we will discuss a different kind of problem. And let me first define the problem. See, at the university, we as a faculty or we as a student have to perform in exams, perform to write thesis, or perform as a faculty to give lectures, to manage research and write papers. So this is our domain of performance. Let us ask ourselves a question that how do we perform our best? Everyone wants. Nobody in the world would want that my performance should be bad. Everyone wants. But when we actually perform, we come across certain limitations and challenges. Like sometimes we may say that my data is not good enough, or sometimes we have issues of time. So these are our limitations, and one of the challenges that we face is the writing skill. How do we write our papers? How do we write our theses? Okay, so that they are the best of us, the best we can give. Now one may ask a question, why is it important to write it so well? Because actually speaking, if I share my experience with you, up to 1989, I was also writing as a student, writing exams, writing theses. But from 1990, it was a turning point, and I become from examinee to examiner. And for the first time, as a Humboldt Fellow in University of Heidelberg, I examined thesis. It was a master's thesis first. Later on, I also examined PhD theses. So my experience is, of course, it depends on the country, scientifically developed countries such as Germany, United States, UK, Japan nowadays. Okay, I would think that my gut feeling is that something like 25 to 30% theses are good, but in the countries which are scientifically not very advanced, maybe 5 to 10% theses are okay, but most of the theses are not really good. Okay, and theses are important. Scientific research papers are important because our future depends on that. When I applied for the Humboldt Foundation, they asked me to submit my thesis, and the referees actually read that. Theses are, important. Their quality is important. They are in beautiful bindings. So in beautiful binding, the content should also be beautiful. It should be a joy for us. It should be a joy for others. It should be sharing knowledge with others throughout the life, because we preserve it. At least I preserve my own thesis. It remains with me till I go to the grave. So this is very important. And when we say that it is very important, but we have certain, blocks. In mental blocks, we have certain limitations. So the first question arises that what should be my state of mind when I am writing a thesis so that it's a good one? This is one question. Now, the other type of question which one may ask is, in scientifically developed countries, okay, some people write very well, okay, and some people, of course, write really horrible. Okay, there is a broad range, okay. And some people, those who write very well, they actually, I have seen, are under a lot of stress. Okay. In fact, there was a article in Nature, if I remember, but I am not very sure, which said that average age of American scientists is lower than the average, national average. And the reason given was that their life is full of stress. When you put a lot of pressure on your head, a lot of good things come out, but then at the expense of your life. Okay, one can have, stress-related problems, one can have shorter life maybe, okay. So this is another extreme. So now we come across two situations that in one case, we are relaxed, but our theses are bad, and university still accepts it. I have not come across any thesis which has been rejected. Even many a time I suggested that some of the theses were really horrible and they must have been rejected. But committee says, oh, no, don't create problem for yourself and for us. Okay, let us accept it. So I have not come across in my life that even a single thesis who was the worst of the worst was ever rejected. Never. So one may say, oh, since it is never rejected, why do we care? But I have already told you, we must care because thesis, remains with us. It goes with us to the grave, okay? So, the good memories, the good value of the thesis, our future, all depends on how we present ourselves in theses. So now we have two situations. One, that yes, we are, writing a thesis and in a casual way and still it is accepted, but we are relaxed and it is still okay, but it affects our career. The other extreme is we are under tremendous stress, we put ourselves under pressure and write a wonderful thesis, but it affects our health and life. So now let us ask a question. Can we develop a way of presenting our scientific work or performing in our exams in a way that it is wonderful and still not stressful? Okay, so this is a objective that we want to achieve in today's discussion. Okay, so the problem is like this. And answer is yes, there is a possibility, and there is a very narrow possibility that you can perform wonderfully well and still be relaxed and not under stress. Okay, and this possibility actually comes from the community of musicians. Okay, if you have seen music directors, for example, or people who create music. Okay, I interacted with them very closely. In fact, some of the musicians are now very close to me through my NGO. And we are trying to understand that how to perform under very stressful conditions in a very relaxed way and still produce the wonderful results. Musicians, they have no option to correct. If you have a paper to be written or thesis to be written, you have options to correct it. Okay, you are not sitting opposite some audience and writing in their presence. Okay, except for the oral exam which you have to do in presence of the committee. But musicians, they just cannot make mistake because they are performing in presence of sometimes hundreds, sometimes thousands of audience. So they have to be very relaxed, and they do in a state of mind which they call as the flow state of mind. Now let us understand what is this flow state of mind, and can we as scientists adopt that state of mind, okay, so that we also perform very well, we write our theses or publications very well and still feel joyful, okay, not under stress and affect our life adversely. So what is this flow state of mind. Let us understand it, and how musicians do it under very stressful circumstances, okay, adopting this flow state of mind. As I understand, of course this is not my original idea, as I said, musicians have told me how do they achieve it. So what they do is that before they start, they have to have a kind of contemplative meditation. Okay, for example, if I start writing a paper, which I did after arriving here, okay, I took nearly 1 month to write 15-page papers, I saw that. So average was half a page per day. Okay, it's just that. And I think Evgeny also told that, yes, the flow is good. Okay, there was no, it was a joy reading it. That is what he commented. And I said, see, this comes from the flow state of mind. Okay, so what is that state of mind and how musicians do it? So first they have to, meditative contemplation, okay, is to be done, which means you relax and you think that mind is nothing, and you have to, think it so intensely that it actually becomes the reality, internal reality of our mind. Okay, that mind is very peaceful. I love my profession. Now whatever data I have to be very scientific. Okay, whatever best knowledge I could generate, now is the time to give this knowledge through my writing to the world. So there is a kind of love in this. Okay, the love to write with a peaceful mind and with a mind which is full of renunciation. That means you are free from worries, no attachment, nothing. You liberate yourself. And once you come to that, then you apply all the knowledge that you have gained through your experiments or through your learning, through your discussions. And with that knowledge, with a very focused mind, forgetting what the result of that writing will be. Because I should not be attached with that paper, That is what the renunciation says. I don't have to be Buddha for that. I don't have to leave things. It is just, attaining a state of mind through thinking, to kind of self-appraisal, to kind of self-advising that please do that, because now I am going to write. Okay, and once I come to that state of mind, I tell you, whatever knowledge I have, whatever limitations I have, first of all, I automatically become very honest, because if I leave honesty, my peace and renunciation will be disturbed. So these are the kind of mental traits which are like, policemen. They observe that, oh, are you doing everything okay, or are you making some mistakes? So these are, self-induced policemen within us, okay, which check that whether my approach is scientific or not. And that is reflected. All of us must know that our feelings, our emotions, our state of mind is reflected in our writing. By reading your thesis, I can tell you whether you wrote it under anger, under disappointment, under frustration, or with a calm mind. The writing is different. Writing is not just word. Writing, has a mind of yours. It represents your mind. It reflects your soul. And by careful reading, you can come to know that during reading, what was your state of mind. And this is very important, because if you write with a peaceful mind, full of love, so that you are giving your best product to others, okay, and with a feeling that you are still not attached to it, somehow the nature takes over, as the musicians say, and you come to the state of flow. And state of flow, they say, is so wonderful. Okay, they are performing very complex music and they are not stressed at all. On the other hand, they say that after this state of flow, when they perform, they actually gain energy. Before performing the music and after performing the music, they find that they are more energetic after performing in that state of flow of mind. If we perform under the stress, it is the other way around. We are drained of energy, then we need a lot of coffee and more coffee and maybe other things. Okay, so, this is the difference. That if I perform, if I write, if I do hard work, if I do my experiments, and experiments are very demanding. Sometimes they are not working very well, sometimes they are very irritating, sometimes your colleague has taken some of your instruments. But if you perform it under the state of flow, you will enjoy it and you will find that it gives you energy rather than taking energy. Somehow it happens. I don't know how it happens. Okay, there is perhaps, as a scientist, I would say I don't know, but if you ask a philosopher, he will tell you, 10 explanations that it happens because of this energy, cosmic energy, that energy. I don't know that, but it really happens. You can experience it. Okay, so this is about the state of flow of mind. Now the final $1 million question, how do we achieve it? Okay, now as musicians say that as they have achieved is first by knowing. Okay, if I know that there is such a state of mind and this can be achieved through contemplative meditation, before I start writing, okay, so I can actually achieve this state of mind. So one has to know it first and one has to practice. Okay, without practice, there is no escape to this. So this is how the one aspect of writing goes all about. So I will finish it here. Thank you very much. And maybe now if you have some questions, you can ask. Thank you very much.